call to the Deputy Leader of the Opposition.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. My question goes to the Treasurer, and it follows the Treasurer's humiliating backflip on his super tax proposal. Can the Treasurer advise the House whose rejection most influenced his decision to dump his tax? Was it A, the Coalition, B, industry experts and economists, C, the Prime Minister—
The member will pause.
D—
The member will pause. The member for McNamara will leave the chamber under 94A. He's not to mention members by their name, particularly in interjecting on a question. So we're just going to get them— Look, I don't know why this is so difficult. When people are asking questions, don't interject. There's a lot of intelligent people here. Well, in the gallery there is. But order. We're going to return to order, and the Deputy Leader is just going to ask his question like anybody else without any interjections.
Thank you very much, Mr Speaker. My question goes to the Treasurer, and it follows the Treasurer's humiliating backflip on his super tax proposal. Can the Treasurer advise the House whose rejection most influenced his decision to dump his tax? Was it A, the Coalition, B, industry experts and economists, C, the Prime Minister, D, his own Labor colleagues and Labor luminaries Paul Keating, Bill Kelty and Peter Beattie, or E, all of the above?
Give the call to the Treasurer.
Thanks, Mr Speaker. Well, I make it really clear to the House that I didn't take the advice of those opposite, Mr Speaker. I didn't take the advice of those opposite, and that's because the question comes from the same people who took to this year's election a policy to increase income taxes on every single one of the 14 million tax-paying workers in this country. The same people who object to smaller tax concessions for 0.5% of people in super wanted to jack up income taxes for 100% of the 14 million tax-paying workers, Mr Speaker. And that's because what they really object to, as I said before, is they really object to more super for more workers. They don't like super. They don't like workers. We know that from their almost decade in office, Mr Speaker. They are always trying to undermine and diminish and come after the superannuation that the working people of this country need and deserve for a decent retirement, Mr Speaker. Now, also don't forget that the question comes from the same guy who wanted to borrow hundreds of billions of dollars to build nuclear reactors to push power prices up, not down. So he asked me who I take my advice from. I don't take my advice from the Shadow Treasurer, Mr Speaker. I really couldn't be clearer about that, Mr Speaker. Now, he can trouble himself all he likes with the political scuttlebutt and the internal far-right politics being practised by those opposite, Mr Speaker. The difference between the Shadow Treasurer and myself as Treasurer is I'm here for the outcomes. I'm here to deliver for the working people of this country, Mr Speaker. I'm here to deliver an increase in real wages. I'm here to deliver income tax cuts. I'm here to deliver more super for more workers so they get the decent retirement that this guy would deny them, Mr Speaker.
Mate, strap yourself in, because this one's a belter. Picture this: question time in Parliament, that circus where the suits swap jabs like boxers in ties. The air's thick with tension, the Speaker's already cranky, and the Opposition's Deputy Leader steps up with that smug grin that always means trouble. He looks across the chamber, eyes locked on the Treasurer, ready to throw the political equivalent of a left hook wrapped in sarcasm. Before we dive into this fiery showdown, where the Treasurer finally snaps and tortures the Opposition over his super tax, smash that like button harder than he slammed that speech. Subscribe if you love a good Parliament meltdown. And grab the not far right just right shirt, links in the description. Thank you, Emma Speaker. He starts, all polite like, which, in Parliament speak, is just the calm before the chaos. My question goes to the Treasurer, and it follows the Treasurer's humiliating backflip on his super tax proposal. Oof. There it is. The word humiliating lands like a sucker punch, the kind that makes every backbencher sit up a little straighter, waiting for the fireworks. Then he twists the knife. Can the Treasurer advise the House whose rejection most influenced his decision to dump his tax? Was it the Coalition? Industry experts? The Prime Minister? Or maybe all of the above? And just like that, boom. The chamber erupts. Murmurs, geez, a few cheeky laughs echoing from the backbenchers. Even the Speaker's doing that thing where he pretends to scold everyone but secretly loves the drama. It's like watching Year 10 debating, except everyone's paid six figures and half the country's watching. But here's where it gets spicy. The Treasurer, who's usually cool as a cucumber, that calm economist type who talks about fiscal discipline and long-term sustainability, suddenly drops the poker face. You can see it. The jaw tightens, the smirk fades. He's had enough. He rises, straightens his papers, and you can practically hear the unspoken "all right, you want to play games? Thanks, Emma Speaker," he begins, voice steady but simmering. Let me make it really clear to the House, I didn't take advice from those opposite. And the crowd goes ooch. That classic Parliament schoolyard burn noise that never gets old. He's just warming up though, because this question comes from the same people who went to the election with a policy to increase income taxes on every single one of the 14 million tax-paying workers in this country. Shots fired. You can almost hear the opposition benches groaning. The Treasurer's not holding back now. He's winding up like a bloke who's been waiting all week to swing back. These are the same people, he continues, voice rising, who object to smaller tax concessions for 0.5% of people in super, yet wanted to jack up income taxes for everyone else. And now he's pacing. You know that look, the politician swagger, like a coach mid-halftime speech when they've finally snapped. What they really object to, he says, pointing across the floor, is more super for more workers. They don't like super. They don't like workers. We know that from their almost decade in office. It's fiery, it's emotional, and it's exactly the kind of moment Aussies love to see. A politician dropping the rehearsed lines and just letting it rip. The Treasurer's got that raw energy of a bloke defending his backyard, and whether you love him or hate him, you've got to admit, it's good telly. But he's not done yet. Now don't forget, he says, leaning into the microphone. This question comes from the same guy who wanted to borrow hundreds of billions of dollars to build nuclear reactors. Cue laughter. Even some of his own side are smirking now. To push power prices up, not down. The Speaker tries to calm things down, mumbling something about broad political answers. But at this point, the Treasurer's rolling. So he asks me who I take advice from? Well, I don't take my advice from the Shadow Treasurer. And the tone there, that mix of sarcasm and fury, it's pure Aussie gold. Like your mate at the pub who's had one too many and just started listing every grudge he's been holding since 2019. Now, for context, the super tax debate has been brewing for months. Labor's been trying to tweak the superannuation system to curb what they call unfair concessions for the ultra-wealthy. Basically, if you've got millions sitting in your super, the government reckons you shouldn't get the same cushy tax breaks as someone with 50 grand. Fair enough to some, class warfare to others. But when the Treasurer hinted at adjusting those rules, the backlash came fast. Industry groups, economists, even a few of his own Labor old-timers like Paul Keating raised an eyebrow. And in Canberra, that's code for this is about to get messy. So when the opposition called it a humiliating backflip, it wasn't just a cheap shot, it was salt in a fresh wound. You could see the Treasurer's pride take the hit. And rather than dodge it with some polished talking points, he went full throttle, gloves off, straight for the jugular. He lays into them again. While they play politics, we're here for outcomes. I'm here to deliver for the working people of this country, real wages, income tax cuts, more super for more workers. He's thumping the desk now, the kind of rhythm that says, I'm not done until everyone knows I mean it. The chamber's getting rowdy, government MPs cheering, opposition heckling, the Speaker practically begging for order. But the Treasurer keeps pushing. And because of our efforts, more Australians are working, more Australians are earning more Australians are keeping more of what they earn. He pauses, smirks, lets the noise swell a bit before delivering the final blow. And that's what really offends them, because we're delivering, and they're divided, divisive, and in disarray. Boom. Mic drop. It's not often you see a Treasurer, normally the numbers guy, the calm technocrat, go full political brawler. But this was different. This was a man cornered, sick of the jabs about backflips and humiliations. And you could feel it, that raw frustration, that mix of righteous anger and political theatre. And let's be honest, this wasn't just about policy. This was about pride. The opposition had mocked him publicly, called his decision weak. and suggested even his own side had lost faith. In Canberra speak, that's like questioning a bloke's football loyalty. You just don't. So when he bit back, it wasn't a polished economic lecture. It was a public flogging, a reminder that even the so-called numbers men can throw a punch when provoked. Now, watching this unfold, you've got to hand it to the opposition too. They knew exactly what they were doing. That question wasn't designed for information. It was a political grenade with a smirk attached. They wanted a reaction, and boy, did they get one. You can almost imagine the back room after. The opposition patting themselves on the back. We got under his skin, mate. While the Treasurer's team's probably saying, yeah, but did you see how fired up he looked? That'll play well on TikTok, because that's politics now, right? It's not just about the policy or the numbers. It's about the moment. The viral clip. The fiery exchange that gets chopped into a 30-second video with a dramatic title. Treasurer snaps in Parliament after savage attack. And that's exactly what this was, pure, unfiltered political theatre. The kind of clash that reminds you why Aussie politics is both exhausting and addictive. It's messy, emotional, and sometimes downright hilarious, but it's real. Still, beneath all the shouting and the sarcasm, there's a bigger story here. A treasurer trying to walk the tightrope between fixing a system and keeping everyone happy. The super tax issue might sound dry, but it's got real stakes. Do you let the wealthy hoard tax-free millions while the average worker gets crumbs? Or do you tinker with the rules and risk being painted as anti-success? That's the game. And this week, the Treasurer learned the hard way that no matter how logical your policy might sound, once it hits the political spin cycle, logic doesn't stand a chance. But credit where it's due. Instead of hiding behind bureaucratic jargon, he fought back with fire. He didn't just defend his policy, he defended the principle behind it. That more super for more workers line wasn't just a slogan. It was his rallying cry. And honestly, that's what makes moments like this so captivating. You get to see the mask slip, just a bit, and glimpse the human underneath. The frustration, the pride, the desperation to prove you're doing something right. By the time he sat down, the chamber was buzzing. The opposition was still muttering. The government benches were grinning, and the speaker was probably thinking about an early lunch. But out there, in living rooms, on phones, across social media, Aussies were already replaying the clip, choosing sides, typing comments like "finally someone with backbone" or "same old Labour spin." Because love him or hate him, the Treasurer made headlines the only way a politician really can these days, by losing his calm and showing he actually gives a damn. And maybe that's the lesson here. In a parliament full of robotic answers and pre-scripted lines, sometimes a bit of raw emotion does more than 100 polished speeches. Sometimes it takes a good old-fashioned lash out to remind people that beneath the spreadsheets and slogans, there's still a pulse. So yeah, the opposition got their soundbite. The Treasurer got his outburst. And we got another round of political chaos to talk about over a cuppa. Classic Canberra. One big, chaotic, endlessly entertaining soap opera, and we just can't stop watching. So smash that like button if you reckon Australia deserves better judgment. Subscribe if you're done with political meltdowns, and grab the Not Far Right Just Right shirt, links in the description.